Welcome one and all to the Cine Geeks podcast where movies, TV, and all things geek collide. It's October 20, 2023. I'm still your host, Roy, and I am still joined by my lovely co-host, Angela.
Hi, everybody!
Hey, Angela. And, well, first off, I missed this. We missed this. Medyo matagal tayo nawala.
We were gone for a long time.
Yes, without a new episode.
Yeah, a lot of explaining to do.
Yes, very much so.
We hope you missed us.
I'm pretty sure they did. Well, for this episode, we will be talking about two great movies that are coming out this weekend. Pero bago yon, a little bit of explaining, a little story time, kumbaga, before we continue. So, yung last na episode na nag-record tayo na same week ba lumabas yung movie was
A Very Good Girl.
A Very Good Girl pa. Okay. So, yung lumabas na episode nun the following week, yung A Haunting in Venice. So, you guys might be wondering bakit biglang parang umatras yung release na ni-review namin instead of yung After A Very Good Girl but hindi yung mga movies the week after that. And the reason is because we chose to release a backup episode muna for that week na it came out, a Haunting in Venice episode, because we moved to a new office.
Yay! Vera Studios has a new office and we are recording here right now.
Yep. New office, new setup here at the Vera Studios. Hopefully, we are going to get the hang of this place para din in the future. Who knows, makapag-video podcast na tayo.
And we can invite, very special guests.
Yes, very much so. And, alright. So, yun yung parang good news na kung bakit kami wala na matagal. Meron namang naging not so good news din. Over the past few days din, kung kailan kakalipat lang namin dun sa Vera Studios office, I, unfortunately, was under the weather. Medyo may...
It's going around
konting umiikot ngayon na masamang pakiramdam.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, ako'y dinapuan nung masamang pakiramdam na yun. So, instead of us being able to record immediately upon moving, we were forced to take a rest muna just for me to recover. Pero, out of that, meron tayong panibagong good news.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that next good news is we have a brand new
website.
Yeah!
Yes!
May website na tayo. Woo! All right. So, why don't you tell us more about that, Ange?
So, we just established our official website called cinegeekspod.com. And a lot of our reviews kasi, a lot of the movies that we see, hindi na natin mapagkasya dun sa episodes natin dito sa podcast.
Minsan,
diba? We realized that we can't really give the due minutes that the movie deserves. So why not just do a write-up about it? That's why we decided to establish this blog or a website.
Yes.
Where we will post our reviews in the form of an article.
Yung mga written reviews instead of the pod episodes holding them. Actually, for now, ang nangyari kasi is we currently have 4 reviews up on the website. Okay? And those were, right now, initially, the website is holding the 4 reviews that were hit by yung long absence namin. So, yung 4 na movies na yun, dapat pag-uusapan namin on the pod. Pero yun nga, due to circumstances beyond our control, buti na lang din nakaisip tayo na let's start a website.
Yeah, we found a way to still release a review.
Yes. Okay, so new office.
New website.
Okay, let's continue.
Okay. But before we continue, we'd like to remind everyone who hasn't done so to follow our pod wherever you listen to podcasts like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
Yes, and don't forget to set your players to automatically download our new episodes so you don't miss out on our fun Cine Geek conversations.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Threads, X, aka Twitter, and Instagram so we can join in on the Cine Geeks conversation. And as mentioned earlier, don't forget to bookmark our brand new website, cinegeekspod.com.
Yes, and while you're at it, please leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and a thumbs up on YouTube if you are enjoying hanging out with the Cine Geeks. And, this really helps us out. So, thank you very much in advance. Okay, so lahat yon out of the way. Let's go ahead and start with our first movie for this episode, Killers of the Flower Moon. When oil is discovered in 1920s Oklahoma under Osage Nation land, the Osage people are murdered one by one until the FBI steps in to unravel the mystery. So, Killers of the Flower Moon is directed by Martin Scorsese, written by him and Eric Roth, adapted from the historical book Killers of the Flower Moon, The Osage Murders and the Birth of the FBI, written by David Gran. So, the film stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone, and Jesse Plemons. Okay. So, two long-time Scorsese collaborators, DiCaprio and De Niro.
DiCaprio for the 8th time and Robert De Niro for the 10th time.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, over the years. But this is the first time they were actually put in a movie together.
First time nila magsama in a Scorsese movie. Yeah. Okay. Pero we'll get to why this feels extra special later on. Okay? Pero let's start it out with what we initially thought. Ange, what did you think of Killers of the Flower Moon?
Initially, I can't really start talking about this movie without first mentioning the runtime, which is 3.5 hours.
Oh.
Is this the longest one
Scorsese?
from Scorsese?
Ayun, ito. Well, Wolf of Wall Street was 3 hours flat. Ito.
What about Irishman?
Irishman is 3 days long. Na-joke lang. Felt like. Tapos ko naalala ko yung pinanood natin.
Ano ba yung sobrang haba na movie? Boyhood ba yun?
Alam ko yung Boyhood. Kaya siya parang mahaba kasi parang talagang sinut nila siya na lumalaki yung bata. Ito, The Irishman. It's longer. Yung Irishman. By 3 minutes.
By 3 minutes.
Yes. So, kung itong si Killers of the Flower Moon, 3 hours and 26. Si Irishman is 3 hours and 29.
So, it's safe to say that it's the second longest.
Second longest Scorsese film. Yep. Sorry, continue.
Pero it didn't feel like it, actually.
Okay.
While I was watching it, I feel like I'm watching a documentary as well as a mini-series. Kasi it was paced in such a way na hindi ka maboboard. There's always something happening. Scorsese's attention to detail and yung continuity ng music really propels the feeling of the story na hindi siya nagsastagnant. Kaya I didn't feel stuck or parang I didn't feel like looking at my watch while I was watching it. Siguro mga nasa hour 2 na nung nag-check ako ng time. But yeah, overall, the runtime was maximized. Hindi naman nag-suffer yung story. And everything was meaty. Wala namang siyang masyadong filler minutes na sinayang. Let me move on now to the story. For me, this is something new from Scorsese because madalas ang mga stories niya is all about Italian mob, Italian mafia. Well, coming from him as an Italian, parang this is a new lens, so to speak. Kasi I don't think the character of Ernest Burkhart is Italian. No. So this is not coming from an Italian perspective, which is something new from Scorsese. It's always been a mafia perspective.
Interesting na sinabi mo yung para siyang mafia perspective. Kasi yun na nga, para siyang nakahanap pa rin siya ng way to look at the sickness, quote-unquote, of yung the mob. Pero sa ibang klaseng culture naman. Yun. I think that's
it's a very different stage.
Stage of, pero yung mob pa rin, kung ano yung hold ng mafia. Yun. Sorry.
It's still the same operation, the same conspiracies, and yung mga conniving. It's still very much mafia. When it comes to the performances naman, sobrang galing talaga ng mga lead. Dalang-dala nila. It was cast perfectly for me. And you would think na this is not the first time Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro work together.
Oo nga, no, grabe. Grabe yung
chemistry nila. Mukha talaga silang mag-uncle.
Yan, oo. Yung, by the way, yung character ni Robert De Niro, si William Hale, siya yung uncle ni Ernest Burkhart, played by DiCaprio. Tama. And yun nga, parang nga silang magkamag-anak silang dalawa.
Actually, magkahawig nga sila eh.
So,
diba? And parang kapatid ni Robert De Niro si Martin Scorsese. magkamukha na sila. So, yeah. Jesse Plemons also, kahit saglit lang yung appearance niya doon, really made the mark. As well as Brendan Fraser. Scene stealer siya doon.
Gusto ko yung yung kay Jesse Plemons. Nasa trailer to eh. Yung, yung parang...
I'm here to investigate the murders.
Yeah. What about them?
Find out who's doing them.
Parang siya eh. Yung linya na yun eh. Sobrang much needed na pressure release.
Tama.
Siguro mga nakakadalawat kalahating oras na tayo nun bago siya dumating. Tapos bigla nung binanat niya yung linyang yun, parang...
It wasn't a punchline, but it was a moment of levity.
Kaya din tayo. True.
Yeah. Even kay Brendan Fraser it was not intended to be a comedic moment. Pero it was such a shift in tone, di ba? Bigla na lang, what?
Bigla nagkaroon ng energy siya na, na much needed simula nung nagsimula yung movie.
Pampagising,
kumbaga.
Yeah.
What about si what's her name?
Lily Gladstone.
Lily Gladstone.
Oh, Lily Gladstone. She was a revelation.
Ang galing.
After ko manood, which this is what I normally do after ko manood ng any movie or any TV show, I always check their IMDb and Wikipedia and see where else they've been in. Tapos si Lily Gladstone, sabi ko, ba't parang wala siya sa radar ko? Ang galing-galing niya, pero parang this is the first time I've ever seen her. Tapos, dun pa sa pinakamalaking stage with Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, and De Niro pa. Grabe yung achievement niya.
First role niya?
No. Marami na siyang role before, pero it was not in my radar.
Okay.
So, yeah. Parang sabi ko tuloy, where have you been? I remember this moment from Only Murders in the Building. Yung kay Meryl Streep.
Yung...
Para siyang sobrang galing na actress, pero sobrang niyang underground. And then, when she went on stage and performed, di ba sabi ni, sa kanya, ni Martin Short, where have you been? Parang ganon. That's the same sentiment that I felt with Lily Gladstone during the movie. Na where has she been?
True. Yeah.
So, yeah. Cinematography was superb, masterful. Something that you would expect from a Martin Scorsese film. Pero overall, hindi siya kasing kinetic ng mga ibang Scorsese movies like Goodfellas and Wolf of Wall Street. Hindi siya masyadong spectacular. It was very... Understated, yeah. It was very understated. It was solemn in some moments. It was very respectful. I appreciate, baka dun siya nanggagaling na respectful kasi siya dun sa Osage history. That's why hindi niya tinake na parang sinensationalize niya yung kwento. He did not do that. Instead, he approached the story with such dignity and delicateness to the point na it didn't feel like a Martin Scorsese film at times. So yeah, what about you?
Actually, mag-a-add on na lang ako dun sa halos lahat ng sinabi mo. Kasi I absolutely share yung views mo about the film. I'll start with how this movie feels. And ako, for me, throughout the film, okay, andun yung sense na napaka-elegiac niya. It's
what is elegiac?
Well, elegiac is something that pertains to elegies or poems na are usually made for the dead. Meron siyang, yung sabi mo kaninang may solemnity siya na wala dun sa ibang mga mga Scorsese na mga films. Hindi siya kasing whiz-bang spectacular. Hindi siya epic eh. Not in that sense. Na parang yung Goodfellas or Wolf of Wall Street or The Departed na parang napaka-exciting niya. Na pulse-pounding yung kwento.
Yes.
Hindi ganito eh. Sobrang niyang placid. Sobrang niyang still waters at so many lengths sa scene na to. May mangyayari biglang explosion of violence, pero
it was not sensationalized.
Hindi. Yun. Pero yung alam mo yung may biglang mangyayaring something, tapos for 40-50 minutes biglang wala mangyayaring masama. And then after that, biglang may boom, may sasabog na naman ulit. Sometimes literally.
Sobrang conservative nung pagkaka-depict ng mga violent scenes. Parang sanay ako kay Scorsese na talagang set piece yung action.
Yung bawat
yung murder moments, yung
Or parang i-jazz up niya yung mga moments na parang mamamatay yung mga mobsters, ganon. Ito parang, kapag merong, kasi, hindi naman siya spoiler. Kasi yun yung kwento naman talaga historically nito. Na when the Osage Indians start dying off one by one, hindi niya sinesensationalize. Minsan nga, papakita niya 3 sunod-sunod na matay. Nakahiga na lang sa kama eh.
You know what it felt like? It felt like a true crime documentary. Parang ganun yung pagkakapresent ng mga murders, ng mga crime. Hindi
siya it's not coming from somebody na excited na pakita yung nitty-gritty. Hindi, ang gusto niyang ipakita dito, what I feel is, yung what we touched upon nung pinag-usapan natin yung A Very Good Girl. Na sinabi ko noon na Filipino filmmakers can learn from Marty in that wag nilang hahanapin yung redemption ng mga anti-hero. Hayaan nilang hanapin nung storya yung kaluluwa ng mga anti-hero in the midst of doing evil. And this movie does exactly that. Kasi at no point in time during the movie does the movie stop to redeem any one of the despicable people involved. Okay?
It's unapologetically uncompromising.
Oo, pero hindi din naman siya din sobrang crude doon sa kanyang depiction of evil. Hindi siya ka-level ng mga dating Wolf of Wall Street na talagang unbridled excess or Goodfellas na
or
talagang,
Irishman for that matter.
Yun
diba?
din, na parang sobrang graphic violence. Oo, meron. Hindi naman siya mawawala eh. Signature ni Scorsese yun eh. Pero sobrang niyang restrained. Sobrang niyang, yun na nga eh, dun papasok yung elegiac nature nung buong sine kasi para siyang, and I hate to bring this into yung kanyang work, yung parang meta element of his life, Martin Scorsese. Pero he's 80 years old. So it's a miracle na he was even able to make this movie.
He was shooting this during the pandemic,
I would think so, oo. He was shooting this during the pandemic. Nagpi-pre-production sana sila nito pre-pandemic. So tumigil, na ituloy, na itawid. And yung final product niya ang labas is para siyang, wala pa namang official na announcement from him. Pero this movie feels so much like it's his final film. Talagang hindi siya yung final film na parang ibubuhos ko na lahat. Okay? Hindi
like
siya,
Tarantino.
Feeling ko parang ganun yung gagawin ni Tarantino dun sa last film niya eh. Na parang siyang talagang lahat ng Tarantino isms niya.
Let's pull all the stops.
Pull all the stops. Sige, yan, ganyan. Pero ito parang siyang iba eh.
It's a story he wants to tell. The last story he wants to tell. Parang ganon. And, sorry, go ahead.
He made the quietest movie of his filmography next to yung Silence nila Liam Neeson at saka nila Andrew Garfield. Yun. Na para siyang it deals with the toll dun sa soul. The troll
toll.
The troll toll.
To get the boy's soul. That is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference.
Fellow creeps out there, you'll get that. Yan, yung toll dun sa kaluluwa nitong mga taong to. Kasi hindi naman sila mustache twirling na mga tao eh. Okay? At ito siguro this might be slight spoilers. I hope not. Ang kalaban dito basically si Robert De Niro. Okay? He's the puppet master behind all of the misfortune na nagyayari dun sa mga Osage Indians. Pero not once did you ever see na para siyang, sige, konti na lang, makukuha na natin lahat ng nila, ng kayamanan nila. Hindi sila ganun. Hindi siya ganun eh. Ano siya eh, para siyang, meron siyang misguided, parang pakiramdam na parang misguided na mission from God yung ginagawa niya eh. Na parang, kasi paulit-ulit niya sinasabi dun throughout the film na parang, the time of the Osage
is over.
Is running out or is over. So parang nakikita niya yung sarili niya na, hindi, ako yung tagatawid ng kayamanan ng mga Osage. Kaya ako to ginagawa.
To keep the Osage legacy alive. Parang ganon. Or to continue their legacy.
Oo, yung parang nakita mo yung pag-justify niya yung evil na ginagawa niya, the banality of the soul of evil.
May logic
Oo. Yun
meron siyang parang self-imposed mission upon himself na isave yung history and legacy ng Osage, and he thinks na he's the savior in this scenario, in this story. He doesn't see himself as the evil mastermind. Parang ganon.
And ito naman si DiCaprio, si Ernest Burkhart, na nakapangasawa ng isang Osage Indian woman, si Molly Kyle. Molly Kyle. Yeah, sorry, thank you. Molly Kyle. Parang sobrang niyang dim-witted yung pagkakapakita sa kanya doon. Nasunod lang siya ng sunod doon sa lahat ng utos ni uncle niya. And siya, para siyang andun din yung conflict niya na parang, ikaw ba, kung fully bought in ka dun sa pinapagawa sa yung masama, kaya mo pa rin bang i-justify yung evil na ginagawa mo by saying na parang I'm doing it for the people I love? Yun it's a very relevant question even today. Marami ka pa rin mga Ernest Burkhart na kilala
yung nako-corrupt sila dun sa blind loyalty to family, to kin, na kahit mali na, you still stand by your family.
True.
Kahit na in crime and in
kasi,
in everything.
Kasi yung tipong yung lahat ng mga pwedeng parang sasabihin sa'yo na justification, parang yung stay loyal to the family
or we are your blood, ganyan. It's still very much happening now.
Ginawa namin to para sa'yo yung mga ganon.
Parang you condone the wrongs, the many wrongs.
You're willing to turn a blind eye.
Tsaka yung immorality.
Pero ang question doon, paano pag ikaw na yung naapektuhan? Makakapag-blind eye ka pa ba? Yun.
Kung ikaw na yung target. How far would you go for family?
True. Yes. Actually, maganda din yun. Magandang central question itong movie na to yun. Pero, in spite of all of the good na yung pinapakita niyang ganun, na nakahanap pa rin ng kindred soul of story, si Scorsese dun sa kwento na parang kahit hindi Italian mob nakahanap pa rin siya ng mobster setup itong yung sindikato na to. As entertaining as that parang story was, medyo lang ako, nakulangan lang ako kasi wala tayong nadinig masyado mula doon sa side ng mga Osage. Okay?
This is their story.
Yun na nga na parang sila yung pinipick off isa-isa. Bakit? Well, of course, ando naman si Molly. Lily Gladstone as Molly, as Ange stated earlier, is absolutely fantastic. Talaga. Sobrang, she holds her own against DiCaprio and De Niro.
Yeah.
Sobra. Talaga. Look for
Hollywood
her to...
giants na talaga when it comes to acting. Yes, definitely.
Nominate yan sa next year's Oscars. Anyway, siya yung parang ginamit lang na avatar ng buong Osage Nation in terms of yung lahat ng mga despicable things na ginagawa sa kanila.
Yeah, and she was portrayed as passive.
Yun pa.
Napaka-oblivious niya dun sa nangyayari. She didn't have any suspicions.
Wala siyang agency. Yung pagkakapakita sa kanya.
Powerless.
Yan.
Samantalang siya yung heredera,
siya
diba?
Siya yung powerful.
Siya yung powerful kasi siya yung Kyle family. Siya yung, head,
Basta, siya yung panganay, siya yung makakakuha nung lahat ng
oil fortune.
Money, ng mga Kyle. Siguro you can, one can make an argument na it was intentional na for somebody so powerful, they're depicted as powerless. Pero yun na nga, babalik tayo dun sa parang thinking na this is their story. Why weren't they given parang agency in their own story? Kasi most of them, pinakita doon, may isang side character na Osage na ang depiction sa kanya, sobrang niyang depressed. Tapos, naging victim din siya nitong sindikato na to.
They're supposed to be a warrior tribe, diba?
Exactly.
All Indians are, diba? Pero, sobrang, I don't know, but they appeared to me as very weak.
When, of course, in fact, they're not. Yun lang. Medyo lang ako doon. Siguro, kasi hindi na magiging universal yung kwento. Ang nakikita kong parang argument against it in many discourses online, na parang Scorsese and Roth tried to make it into a story na everyone can, hindi man relate to. Siguro parang ni-unify lang nila yung focus ng audience papunta dun sa kalaban. So parang meron lang tayong clear na point of view as an audience on who to root for and who to root against. Pero yun na nga, in doing so, na-sacrifice yung parang nabigay sana ng time, and time isn't an issue here, it's 3.5 hours.
Yes.
Na nabigyan sana sila ng konting part in the script to flesh them out, to give them color. Hindi naman siguro lahat ng Osage upstanding na tao. May mga, paano kung may Osage na nakipagsabuatan pala kay Kyle, kay De Niro, di ba?
Meron palang inside man, ganon.
Na parang bakit na kung gaano ka three-dimensional pinakita itong si Ernest Burkhart at saka si Bill Hale, si De Niro, villains, sana na-afford din yung same level of three-dimensionality dun sa Osage.
Kahit isa lang.
Kasi kahit si Molly, yun na nga sobrang...
She was so passive. She was just reacting to everything that's happening. Parang,
I mean, kung hindi
she
siya...
never really took hold of her situation.
Oo. Kung hindi siya sobrang galing lang yun na actress ni Lily Gladstone, parang lang siyang naging plot device.
And they were educated. Women in their tribe are respected.
Oo.
So parang for her to just, parang lagi na lang siyang by the side of her husband, and I don't know, maybe this is the most historically accurate depiction. Kaya, nilagay lang ni Scorsese as is. Pero parang
kulang pa din. Parang medyo nakulangan lang ako.
Oo, kasi yung sister naman was very outspoken. Kahit nga yung sister na lang sana ni Molly
Kasi ito, yung doon sa, kasi, siguro, hindi naman sa hindi sanay, pero kasi, ito yung one of the few times na parang ang daming three-dimensional entities involved Kasi if I'm not mistaken, yung Wolf of Wall Street, ang kwento doon talaga, kwento ni Jordan Belfort.
Yes.
And from the outset, sabi natin sa atin, masama siya. You root against this guy.
Conman siya.
Walang other side na naapektuhan. Yung naaapektuhan is a very vaguely portrayed public na yung pera nila ninanakaw. Yon. Sige, pass. Bigyan ng pass yun. Yung Goodfellas, kwento siya ni Ray Liotta. And siya yung in the middle. Siya yung parang Ernest Burkhart. Na si Joe Pesci, yung at saka si De Niro, sila yung mga Bill Hale. Yung mga demonyo dun sa shoulders niya.
Sila yung mga padrino.
Oo. So, kwento pa rin siya ni Hale. Parang may protagonist tayo, may antagonist. Oo. Pero dito kasi, ang problema, yung protagonist natin, yung antagonist din natin. Which is parang Wolf of Wall Street again. Pero may tangible face yung victim ngayon. Which is, yung hindi niya nabigyan ng proper service in the story. Na may kwento yung victim
To think na this is historical.
Yun na nga
So may mga magre-react talaga.
Oo.
Kasi
tayo.
No, specifically the Osage
yes.
tribe. Kasi Osage Nation. Kasi napaka one-dimensional ng pagkaka-portray sa tribe nila Parang kapag may mga elders na nagmi-meeting, hanggang doon na lang yung kayang gawin.
Oo. Parang ang portrayal nga lang nila dito are rich idiots. Yun na. Sorry I'm not no offense meant to the Osage Nation. Pero in this script, they're portrayed as wealthy idiots. Na parang they kept trusting the white men na pasok sa pamilya nila. Oo, na parang
kahit na may mga murders na nangyayari.
Wala ba sa kanilang tumigil at any point in time at sinabi na parang bakit ang KFC ni Bill Hale sa atin? Yung parang ganun.
While Tulsa was happening in the same story.
In the same story. Nag-touch upon din dun sa yung Tulsa race riots. Pinakita siya fictionalized version at least dun sa first episode ng
KKK
Watchmen.
was there.
Yun pa. Oo.
Friend ni Hale si KKK
diba, yung
na
parang,
sheriff.
Hindi man na pinakita, ano yung reaction ng mga Osage into seeing that entity stroll through their town. Diba? Parang wala Siyempre, ang papakita na sa atin, KKK, bad. Of course, bad sila. Pero parang, in the context of the story, parang...
They didn't even have a hunch.
Oo.
Na maybe these guys are out to get us. Kahit isa lang. Well, we got that.
May konti si Molly. Tsaka si Hannah, yung kapatid niya, nag-uusap sila. Parang, kasi, di ba yung napang-asawa or mapapangasawa, dapat ni... Ana, nakailang asawa na.
Doon sa magkakapatid.
Oo. So parang nakakakutob na sila. Parang bakit iniisa-isa tayo nitong mga to.
Wala
Pero,
man lang parang skeptic dun sa mga Osage.
Yun na nga eh. Pero again, we're just merely pointing out a big parang area of improvement sana. Everything else is fantastic. Yung editing pa rin, yung kanyang long time na collaborator, si Thelma Schoonmaker, still fantastic editing. Rodrigo Prieto, cinematographer, gaganda ng mga shots. Sobrang niyang parang painting yung datingan sa mga ibang shots talaga. Gaganda.
And I would also like to highlight, although I don't want to spoil this because this was a very, very memorable surprise. Towards the end.
Merong something sa end na just wait for it.
It was fantastic. Sobrang ganda niya.
And actually, that part you're talking about, actually it even adds to yung elegiac nature niya.
Parang, I don't know, maybe Marty just wanted his audience to feel, absorb, and experience the tragedy of the Osage Nation.
Oo, I guess.
Parang ganun eh. He wants to tell a story of tragedy that is commonly forgotten na ngayon sa US, diba?
Oo, lalo na't
white-dominated na yung bansa nila. Oo, I didn't even know na ganun pala ka-powerful yung mga Osage dati.
Diba?
Yung mga driver nila yung mga puti. Mga katulong nila, diba?
Yun na nga eh. Pero still it's still a Scorsese movie. We're so lucky na in this year na nakapanood tayo ng isang Nolan film. Lumabas ang isang Nolan film. Merong lumabas na Scorsese film. May lumabas na Greta Gerwig film.
Sayang hindi umabot yung Villeneuve, no? Na-move. Oo, sayang. Pero ang ganda sana ng year, no?
Kung lumabas yun, bingo. Isa pa dapat. Sino ba dapat pa? Yung mga Oscar bait na mga lalabas sa Pasko. Yan. Pero,
ano ba yun?
Alam ko may isa pa eh. Sino ba itong isa pang Apple film na? Basta may isa pa. Pero anyway, ikaw, anything else to add about what you thought of Killers of the Flower Moon?
Definitely one of the most introspective, emotional, and understated films from Martin Scorsese. It's very different from his previous work, but doesn't take away his mastery of telling these stories, these epic stories that needs to be told. Parang napaka-relevant lagi nung message nung niya.
Mga kwento niya.
Although you will not get the usual excitement and violence that Marty usually shows in his films, pero this one was I feel like it was very close to his heart. What about you?
Actually, nasabi mo na siya eh. Tama ka dun eh. Na yun nga, wala siya ng usual Scorsese pizzazz. It lacks the usual yung Scorsese pizzazz, violence, excitement, action.
And confrontations na intense.
But what this movie lacks in that, it makes up for in so much emotion. Talaga, as in, lumalangoy sa feelings itong scene na to.
Alam mo kung saan ko siya pwede ma-compare?
Saan?
Roma.
Oo.
Para siyang ganon.
Para siyang Cuarón.
Cuarón, oo.
Para siyang, for some reason, it feels so personal. Oo. Tama. Ayun nga pala, yung isa pang lalabas dapat na, master din, ang director, Napoleon. Ridley Scott.
Yes.
November. Isipin mo, sana may Greta Gerwig, tapos merong Nolan, tapos may Scorsese, tapos yung Villeneuve sana, tapos Ridley Scott. Sayang, bingo.
Yung kay Emma Stone.
Yung Poor
kay
Things.
Kay
Yorgos.
Yorgos, sorry.
Ko, sana lalabas sa atin yun. Hi, TBA. Baka naman.
Hopefully. Is that A24?
Ko, A24 ba yun or Universal? Basta, alam ko, yan. Go to art film distributor natin, please. TBA. Baka naman. Poor Things, Emma Stone, please. Anyway. Okay. So that's it for Killers of the Flower Moon. Let's go ahead and talk about our other movie for this episode, 5 Breakups and a Romance.
Even if two people are on the opposite sides of the universe, once the connection is made, they're basically one. The movie is written and directed by Irene Villamor and stars Alden Richards and Julia Montes. Yan. So, Roy, what did you think of 5 breakups and a romance?
I had little hopes or little expectations going into the film. Kasi, I mean, for all the movies, all the Filipino movies that we've seen this year, in all honesty, medyo may konti pa rin akong trepidation tuwing papasok tayo sa sining Pilipino so far. Pero I can safely say na after watching this, talagang I can be more forgiving knowing na we're capable of making great, mature, and level-headed films like this. This is personally one of my favorite movies of the year. Itong 5 Breakups and a Romance. Ang ganda nung script niya. Napaka-smart nung pagkaka-divide niya nung mga scenes into, para siyang play eh.
Mm-hmm.
Na meron tayong 15-20 minutes na duologue eh.
It's a 5-act play.
Parang ganun eh.
Mm-hmm.
True. Tapos, yung mga stars natin, Alden Richards and Julia Montes, are so up to the challenge. Sobra. Alden, I'll talk about him in a moment. Pero si Julia Montes, I mean, kung meron tayong Catherine Bernardo doon sa Star Cinema side, na parang for the longest time, we've been inundated by puro mga rom-com, puro mga patwitams na mga role niya.
Pabebe.
And then biglang binagsakan niya tayo ng A Very Good Girl na kaya niyang maging
sobrang out of character
her. Sobrang niya maging mature in an acting sense. Ako naman, gano'n naman yung parang pakiramdam ko kay Julia Montes, doon naman sa quote-unquote GMA side ng mga artista.
Is she GMA now?
I would think so. This is GMA Pictures, by the way.
I know na si Alden is GMA, but kasi 'di ba lagi nang nagko-collaborate yung GMA and ABS.
True.
So we're not sure if Julia is still part of Star Magic.
I guess.
But this movie was
produced
by GMA
Pictures.
Yeah.
Anyway, yun, ganun din yung ano ko nun. Ganun din yung parang preconceived notion ko about her. Na parang puro siya tweetams role, puro rom-com, puro mga dramang ganun na parang iyakan, mga family drama ganun. And I was pleasantly surprised by the amount of this is going to sound redundant, pero ito yung the best only word to describe it. Ibang level yung maturity na pinakita ng everyone involved here. From the acting to the writing, even yung technical na aspect ng sine. Hindi siya naging sobrang flashy when it didn't need to. Merong mga parts dito na parang gumamit siya ng parang yung indie style of filmmaking, and hindi siya yung ginamit lang just because parang, hey, let's try something new. Hindi, alam mong bawat element ng sine pinag-isipan, pinagplanuhan. Sobrang may sure hand na nagkukumpas ng lahat ng mga nangyayari. Again, Julia Montes, fantastic. Alden Richards is slowly becoming one of my favorite Filipino actors. I never thought I'd be able to say that sentence in a million years. Yung kanina pagkatapos nating lumabas ng sinihan, sinabi mo sa akin. Ano sabi sa akin?
Yeah, I told you na parang Alden Richards is becoming like the go-to leading man.
Para siyang Ryan Gosling of the Philippines.
Yes, that's what I said.
Oo, yun nga na. Para siyang, ang galing niyang pumili ng role.
And he is a very good foil.
Oo.
Sa lahat ng mga nagiging screen partners niya.
Well, the ones that at least want to work with him.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Anyway.
Kahit kanino, pwede siyang mag-establish ng chemistry .
Di ba?
Yung
doon sa Hello, Love, Goodbye. Yun, by the way, sana pag-uusapan sana namin yun in an episode, especially since nung nanggaling kami ng Hong Kong.
We did talk about it.
We did?
Sa A Very Good Girl, di ba? We compared it to...
nga pala, no? Yeah, sorry.
That's his favorite movie. He always wants to talk about Hello, Love, Goodbye.
Ang ganda kasi nung yung this movie feels like, and I hope na I'm gonna say this like a compliment because it is, para siyang Cathy Garcia Molina film . in the best way possible. Parang paano kung bigla mong sinabihan si Madam na maging theatrical yung kwento and yung direction niya. Hindi yung talagang parang grand gestures, movie rom-com na epic set pieces na gano'n. Hindi. Sobrang one location, two people talking. Tapos yung script pa niya, sobrang ang poetic and lyrical without being sing-songy. Sobrang how people would talk. Kanina, habang pinapanood din natin siya, nagka-come to mind sa akin yung isang movie pinanood natin earlier this year, yung As If It's True, in Cinemalaya. Na kung gaano ka-natural and hindi
scripted.
Manufactured, hindi scripted. Yung feeling, yung emotion.
Very raw.
Very raw.
And how actual people like us would sound.
Oo. Para siyang, how do people in a relationship fight? That's how they fight. That's how they talk. And ganun siya ka-raw, ganun ka emotional yung finished product. Yan. I can just go on and on about this movie kasi ang ganda niya talaga. Pero I'll turn the mic over to you. What did you think of this movie, Ange?
Well, for me, where do I start? I've always liked Julia Montes as an actress. Magaling talaga siya kahit nung bata pa siya.
Okay.
Even in Walang Hanggan na pinanood ko pa yun kasama ng mom ko dati. Sinubaybayan namin yun. Pero she is a very talented actress talaga. And given this material, I am very delighted to see a female lead na hindi cliche, na parang pinut niya sa sarili niya yung responsibility na iahon yung pamilya niya sa hirap, yung ganon. Na ulirang anak, ganyan, or yung she is an independent woman, a career-driven independent woman who embraces her sexuality, 'di ba? Napaka-gutsy nun ng pagkakasulat ni Irene Villamor kay Justine. Kasi napaka-common na kasi na nakikita mo sa sine yung parang very family-oriented yung female lead.
Or napaka-virtuous.
Napaka-virtuous, napaka-prude and conservative. Pero this feels like a modern love story.
Oo, yun din. Thank you. Sorry, maano lang kita. Yung napaka-modern nung mga characters involved. They don't feel like caricatures of a time gone by. They feel like people you would meet now. They could be your friend, they could be your brother, your sister, your office mate. They could be anybody you know na within the millennial age range.
Even yung meet up nila and yung initial connection nila na parang one night stand lang. Parang it's very empowering to see a female lead na hindi demonized or parang slut-shamed yung pagiging casual niya.
True.
Kasi she is career-driven.
Tsaka alam niya yung gusto niya.
She knows exactly what she wants.
Tama.
She's very confident, very sure of herself. And she didn't need Alden, actually, nung umpisa. But she chose to fall in love and she chose to do all those decisions along the way dahil ginusto niya. Hindi dahil naging parang alipin siya ng pag-ibig, ganun.
Or hindi siya naging plot conveniences. Oo. Parang exactly how a modern woman would decide to go about her relationships, her professional life, I would assume. Na ganun siya ka-real, ganun ka fully formed.
Yes, ganun ka-tangible yung characters na ginawa ni Irene Villamor.
True, sobra.
So, I'm excited to see her other films kasi I've heard of her other films like yung Camp Sawi, yung Meet Me in St. Gallen ba yun? Basta Irene Villamor is a prolific filmmaker. And I read from one of the articles about her na she was an apprentice of Joyce Bernal.
Ooh. Okay.
So, dun siya nagsimula and then one of her contemporaries was Antoinette Hadaone.
Okay.
And yung signature touch niya sa mga films and stories na ginagawa niya is always modern love stories. So yeah, this is the first Irene Villamor film that I saw, and I'm excited to see the others because of this one. Nakakatuwa din how real the struggles in a relationship yung depicted dito, yung naging relationship problems nila, yung pressures of their school, of their work, of their family. And alam mo yon, walang parang cliche na ayaw ng pamilya ko sa'yo, ayaw ng ganyan ko sa'yo. Parang very teleserye na yun eh.
Yun yung hinahanap ko kaninang sabihin eh. Iniiwasan niya yung pagiging teleserye ng mga gantong kwento. Talagang para siyang nag-focus lang siya doon sa dalawang tao na involved doon sa relationship and how they navigate the difficulties that are in front of them. Sometimes yung mga difficulties nila, they can work through easily. May mga ibang times, yung difficulties nila are too much for them to handle. That it drives them apart. Yung reality na yun na not everything has a happy ending is a concept na Philippine entertainment in general is very scared of breaching, of parang making stories about na yung hindi happy ending. Pero
or hindi sila magkakatuluyan.
Yun din yung kaya ako din nagustuhan yung Hello, Love, Goodbye. Kasi para siyang, oo, meron silang naging understanding towards the end. Pero hindi niya binigay yung satisfaction of seeing the parang, oh, they're together. Hindi eh. And in turn, that makes it all the more real. Kasi parang
sometimes it doesn't work.
Oh,
diba?
Sometimes life gets in the way. Yun.
And sinabi nga din yun dun sa movie. Maybe this is just, what it is. It's what it is.
Ito dito. Oo, tama.
And na-appreciate ko din na this movie is not open-ended. There was closure.
Oo.
It was very cathartic.
Well, not in the way you're hoping it would be, pero still is. Yun, actually, nga din iniisip ko dun sa dulo na parang, yung siguro there was an instance in someone's life, in my life or your life, whatever, na parang nagkaroon ka ng ganong klaseng conversation eh. Lalo na yung last na scene, yung last na act. Yung sobrang nag-closure lang yung naghanap ka lang talaga ng parang catharsis pa. Yan eh. Pero it's up to you kung ano yung magiging reaction mo doon sa nakuha mong catharsis.
And for once, hindi siya tragic. Hindi siya parang, oh, how sad. Wala siyang bitterness. There was acceptance.
And yung growth nilang dalawa as people.
Yun yung talagang pinakita. And sometimes, in a relationship, it's what you learn from that. It's not kung magsistay ba siya sa buhay mo. It's what you learn from your time with them. Ganon.
Very true.
I loved it. I loved this movie. It was a modern take.
It's a modern romance.
Modern romance siya. Yeah. And Alden Richards really knows how to choose his roles.
You said something about this movie's depiction of the...
Oh, yeah. I loved that this movie... Actually, this is the first Filipino movie I saw na dinipict yung COVID-19 with such...
Yung pandemic era.
Especially yung onset ng pandemic. As very accurate. The emotional toll that the pandemic really, has affected especially the health workers. And kahit normal people.
Yung emotional prison ng lahat ng tao nung lockdown era na yun.
Yung isolation.
Yan.
And yung loneliness and tragedy.
Of that situation. Napaka real nung it felt very raw. Very parang it could have happened to anyone literally. Parang siyang parang dinramatize na real happening in someone's life.
And sobrang fresh pa niya sa memory ko. Kaya alam kong sobrang tama, sobrang sakto yung pinakita talaga dito. And the best thing about it is the pandemic sequence in this movie is actually relevant to the story and to the characters.
Hindi lang siya yung parang dahil, para na maipakita natin na may pandemic. Hindi eh.
Sobrang niyang relevant dun sa how their relationship would go from that point. And it was one of the tipping points din nung movie, nung relationship nila.
Galing?
Wala nung mga grand gestures. Wala yung mga pa-cute na meet cute. Wala yung mga pakilig moments.
Ito, as much as nagustuhan ko yung Hello, Love, Goodbye, doon sa dulo niya, meron pa rin siya yung parang, huwag mo akong kakalimutan babalik pa rin tayo dito. Yung mga ganon, yung mga parang declarations in a heightened emotional state. Wala siyang ganon eh. It's just people saying what's on their mind, how they feel. In reality, I don't think I can say any much more than that without going over and over again.
Actually, I love the family side of Justin.
Yun.
Sobrang charismatic and ang maganda yung pagkakadepict ng family life niya and yung Filipino culture. Ang hindi ko lang gusto is yung Friends kasi really, they sounded so robotic. Parang yung mga, yung mga GMA afternoon shows na where did they get those actors? Sobrang, tara guys, punta tayo sa living room, dun sa sala.
Sa simula. I guess siguro, naging perfunctory na lang yung pagkakasulat ng mga...
Oh my God, you're into fashion? Ay, may nasabi pa akong mali. Parang...
I mean, in the context of yung the dialogue, the writing, walang problema. Mas dun sa yung delivery lang nung...
Yung delivery, the lines...
Yun lang yan eh.
Oo, napaka-forced, napaka-monotonous and robotic. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Pero ito, one could also say na parang buti na lang ganon. Kasi hindi naging ensemble yung dating ng buong kwento. Kasi ang magiging parang danger nun, kung magaling yung mga nasa sa side, magiging pa siyang one more chance. Na hindi ensemble naman siya na lahat sila may character. So parang just focus it on them.
Maybe I was just looking for supporting character like in A Very Good Girl na kahit papano competent.
Well.
Na marunong magdala ng linya na parang tao kang nagsasalita.
Well, the only positive thing I can say about that is they're not in it for that much. Na-focus agad.
Pero it took me out. It took me out during those few minutes na nandun sila.
True. Pero at least the following na sequence was banglase. Maganda.
It got me right back then naman. So, yun.
Okay. Anyway, any last final thoughts dito for 5 breakups and a romance?
Well, I'll be following Irene Villamore's next projects as well as Alden Richards, and this is an excellent comeback for Julia Montes. We have not seen her in a lot of films recently, pero itong comeback niya na to is very good. A very good film. A very good girl. Pero yeah, I loved it. It kind of reminds me of Past Lives, konti. And that is high praise coming from me because I loved Past Lives. So what about you? Final thoughts?
Ako naman, para siyang yung anti-Before trilogy. Kasi kung yung Before trilogy, parang yung, hindi naman siguro feel good. Pero same structure, same parang two people talking and the only information you get is from their dialogue. Talaga makikinig ka talaga. Ganun siya eh. It reminds me so much of it. Pero kaya ako siya sinabi na or it's the opposite of the Before trilogy kasi it's not sweet. Hindi siya pabebe, hindi siya parang pa-in love eh. Oo, may parts doon na parang may parang ligawan part sila. Mas makakahalin tulad ko to siguro sa 500 Days of Summer. Para siyang ganon. In terms of yung kanyang maturity and yung how it handles the real lifespan of an average romance.
Yes.
Talaga. It's one of the best films of the year for me. Ibang klase yung pinakitang maturity, both by everyone involved, direction, writing, acting, one of the best films of the year. Okay, so as always, just a disclaimer. Okay, the studios neither paid nor sought out the reviews you just heard. They are hearing our feedback about these movies the same time as you are.
Yeah. So that's it for Killers of the Flower Moon and 5 Breakups and a Romance. If you've seen any or all of these movies, please share with us what you thought about it. Comment it on our social media pages. Again, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and X at CineGeeksPod. Don't forget to visit our website too for our other reviews and news tidbits. CineGeeksPod.com.
Don't forget to set your players to automatically download our new episodes so you don't miss out on our fun conversations. And while you're at it, please leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and a thumbs up on YouTube if you absolutely enjoyed this episode.
For my co-host Troy, this has been Angela. Thank you for listening to the Cine Geeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide.